Good evening, colleagues, administration, and to the public. The Policy and Governance Committee meeting is being called to order August 26th at 5:04 p.m. I will do my welcoming remarks. Welcome, committee members. This is our first meeting of the school year as a Policy and Governance Committee team, and I do consider us a team. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to put forth the best policies that we can to support our students and our staff during this very difficult time during this pandemic. And so that really is the only opening remark that I have at this moment. And so I would like to move on to item 1.3, approval of the August 26, 2021 Policy Governance Committee agenda. Is there a motion?
Second.
Second, okay. Motion second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Pass. All right. We have one registered speaker on a policy, and that is Elliot Daniels. Ms. Berkeley, if you could.
Just pulled him over.
Okay.
Daniels?
Mr. Daniels, you have 3 minutes to address the committee. And you're on mute. I'm not sure if you're trying to speak now, but you're on mute. Ms. Berkeley, is there anything that
No, let me see. I have two Elliot Daniels in there, so I'm gonna pull the other one. Maybe I pulled the wrong one. Let's see.
Okay.
All right, can everybody hear me?
There he is.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys letting me get on to share what some concerns that I have about the school districting in our area.
Okay.
What we have going on is that we are in a predominantly African-American neighborhood. We down in Clinton, Maryland. And so what happens is when you try to move your child around in certain schools, you have to go through this thing called a lottery, right? And so for some reason, for the last 6 years, I have never been able to move my kids to a particular school that offers something that is not offered in my area school. My area high school is Surrattsville High School, which is one of the lowest scoring schools in the district. And so it's not a school that I would want my son to attend. So we've been homeschooling for the last couple of years, and we've been going by the way of doing private schooling. But, you know, as COVID hit and things tighten up, we try to look for another avenue to provide at least a equitable education for our sons and our daughter. And so we just trying to figure out how can we get placed in a school that, you know, that we can transport them back and forth to, which wouldn't be an issue without being locked into a district. Now, we reached out to a couple of schools that has this P-TECH program that actually allows them to be able to get college courses while they're in high school. And so that's what we want to do. And that's right down in Frederick Douglass, maybe about a 10-minute ride from our house. And so is there any help that we can get from you guys or any suggestions on how we can accomplish this mission?
So, Mr. Daniels, it's the practice of the board that, you know, we don't exactly respond in this fashion to public comment. We're here to listen, but you raised a number of points, and actually your school board member is here, Ms. Sonia Williams, and so she's waving. And so if we could ask the board office to connect you with Ms. offline, I know she knows a lot about the P-TECH program.
Yes,
I'll ask her to follow up with you offline.
yes. If she can do
Absolutely.
that, I would most
If you
certainly.
would send me an email and we can schedule a time to talk.
Okay,
I'd love to get more details about the grade in which your students are moving into.
okay,
And every year we have an opportunity to have, and I just want to say this quickly, to have an administrative transfer. And I believe that time frame has now passed. And so let's discuss what opportunities and options you have before you. So if you will shoot me an email, and I will put my email in the chat.
okay.
So you can get it from there, and then we can schedule a time to talk. Okay?
I appreciate that.
Hi, this is Ms.
Absolutely.
Daniels, not to cut you off. Thank you, everybody. I know we only have 3 minutes, but I just want to mention that, you know, this is about policy, and if we can make some suggestions, you know, we were thinking one thing we could do possibly is allow parents to be empowered again by being able to, you know, maybe apply to at least 3 schools in your particular surrounding area. Maybe that's a suggestion that, you know, we could discuss at some point. But, oh, sorry. Time's up. I get it. Okay.
I'm sorry I took some of your time, but let's discuss it. Let's discuss this offline, okay?
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and Ms. Daniels, because we took some of your time, I'll give you 30 seconds, and please, whatever, if you can, succinctly say it. We took some of your time, so go.
Yeah, oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. I know the mission statement is for PG County is to empower students, but if we could give students the opportunity to possibly apply to maybe 3 schools in their surrounding area. This was a great idea that my husband had came up with. And then, you know, being, and it looks like, you know, you have to apply a year in advance. So, you know, it's like your hands are kind of tied up because, you know, sometimes you don't even know about the programs until the following school year. So, you know, it would be great if we can kind of, you know, maybe put our heads together and maybe consider some other options, you know, for resolution. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and I'm very confident that Ms. Williams will you know, be able to assist wherever she can offline. And I appreciate you coming with solutions and ideas.
Okay.
Please come back at the next meeting. You're always welcome. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sorry, I don't see the chat function. So I don't see the chat function on my side of,
So
we don't
I'll
have
just
that.
ask,
Oh, okay.
I'll ask Ms. Berkeley to connect you both offline.
I have
in
their
order to-
information. I have their
Thank you.
information. I can reach out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you, guys. Thank
All
you
right,
so
thank
much.
you.
All right. See ya.
All
Okay,
right.
bye-bye.
Okay. And then now we're at 2.2, public comment on labor partners. I don't see anything here. So then we'll move on to 3.1. And really, for the members of the committee, I just wanted to have an open conversation with each of the members about, you know, your feelings about the purpose of the committee, also some objectives that you want to accomplish. I mean, you know, it is my desire that this is a very collaborative committee where each of you will be able to contribute in whatever ways you see fit. You know, we all come at this from a very different place. We're all passionate about different things. I know from speaking to our student board member, he's very passionate about mental health. I know Ms. Williams knows a lot about construction. You know, I'm very interested in the school to prison pipeline. Ed is very interested in operations. Ms. Mickens Murray, who's a new colleague, I know comes with a wealth of experience and ideas and is ready to hit the ground running. And so I think if we could just have an initial conversation as a committee, just about what we hope to get out of this as we serve together for this year, it'll hopefully help us be on the same page. It is also my intention to schedule one-on-one meetings with every member of this committee to figure out how I can assist you in your service on this committee and how you can assist me in my service in this committee, what your expectations are, for me as your chair, and how we can really work well together to have this be the best committee on the board. So, and feel free, members of the administration, to chime in. You are also a very integral part. We cannot do this without you and vice versa. And so I'd like to open up the floor, or I'm sorry, Chairwoman Ahmed, I guess I'll turn it over to you to start, and I'll open up the floor to everyone else to speak.
No, thank you so much, Chairman Burrows. It's been really an interesting process being on the policy committee. I think the reason that I am so enticed by this particular committee is because in our committee, we have an opportunity to create legacy, and have our work and our thoughts and in the work of the board stay for years and years and years to come. And so I think that that is the big responsibility that we carry here, and that we're the inception point for the board in this entire process of what do we value and what do we care about and how do we express that through policy. I think for me, the things that I care about a lot of different things as it relates to policy, but what has come forthright to me in working on policy is that there's a lot of cleaning up to do. And so I think a big emphasis for me for this year would be cleaning up our policies and making sure that we're doing the best that we can to develop internal structures that will work for the board for years to come. What that also includes is making sure that we go through our policies and look at, are we being equitable in the way that we're writing policies? And are we being inclusive in the way that we're referring to different people in policies? And so those are two things that are really big for me, making sure that we have an equity lens when it comes to policymaking, and making sure that we have an inclusive lens when it comes to policymaking. And beyond that, I think that we should just, the movement that was really championed by our student board member last year and having student-centric policies is a focus that I would love to continue this year. Specifically, board member Jackson had brought forward policies on student demonstrations and student journalism, journalists. And I think if we have more policies like that, that affirm the rights of students, we'd be in a really good place for setting a good legacy for the future. That's all I got, Chairman Burrows. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Ms. Mrs. Murray is off mute.
Yes. Chairman Burrows, I guess for me, since I am really new, if you could just take a few minutes and help me to understand the process. How do we bring policies to this committee? Do we generate those policies? Do we think of them? Or do they come from the administration?
Thank you very much, Board Member Mickens Murray. So policies can come from, or policy ideas can come from anywhere. So we just a few moments ago heard from two parents who said, hey, I have some policy ideas. We have members of the labor community who sometimes might come and say they have policy ideas. You'll see in our work plan later that the administration will come and say, we want you to review these policies. Some policies have to be updated because the law has changed, which we're going to get to in our work plan later today. And then some policies come from board members. A board member might say, hey, I have an idea. Or a board member might say, hey, I just went to Mako and this county is doing this, or maybe this county is doing this. And I think, there's a national best practice or regional best practice around this issue. Let's bring it to this committee. Normally, and please, Mr. Cooper, chime in to help me out, or Chairwoman Ahmed, or really anyone. It's my understanding that any member of the board or any member of the public can come, or the administration can come and say, hey, I have this policy idea. This committee will screen it to see if we good policy or not. The administration will weigh in with their thoughts about whether or not it's a good policy or not, or maybe the administration likes certain parts but not other parts, or maybe the goal we can all agree to, but maybe the way we get there might be different, right? And so it's a very collaborative process. But Mr. Cooper, if you can chime in and talk about it from the policy development process.
I think you had it pretty clear there. Policy 9340 explains the process for once it comes from the committee. As you mentioned, the board as a policymaking body takes the lead on generating policies or either approving the recommendations from the administration. And I work collaboratively with the General Counsel's Office administration to flush out those ideas. As you mentioned, we are having a meeting tomorrow, me and some of the administration folks, to discuss revisions to some of the policies that are recommended for revision. And so it's a collaborative process once it moves from the committee and the decision is made that, yes, we want to revise this policy.
Okay, so for me, and I guess I'm still trying to flesh this out in my head. Ideas come from a myriad of places, which is fine. But once we get those ideas, it sounds to me like you're saying that the board takes the lead in determining what's the priority. I understand, Chairman Burrows, that you said it's a collaborative process, which I can appreciate that. But I also know that the driver is who determines that this is the priority for us at this moment in time. Is it the board or is it the administration? That's what I need help with.
It is the Board of Education working in collaboration with the administration. Ultimately, the board is the policymaking body. The administration works with the board on that. I see a hand from Chairwoman Ahmed. If you want to jump.
That's fine. I was just gonna pull directly from the policy that has been approved by the board around policy making. But Mr. Burrows, you can.
And tell me what that policy is, please, Ms. Ahmed.
9340.
93, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
And Ms. Berkeley, if we could send that to Ms. Mickensburg.
I think I have it. I just have to locate it, so thank you.
Okay.
I have it. Go
All
ahead.
right.
I can listen, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you. I think that this is my first time being on policy out of all the years that I've been on the board, because my focus has always been about academics and the budget. And policy in my mind is sort of a long-term vision of where we want to be. And the question is, how do we get there? And that is what policy sort of puts in place. That's the way I see policy. So when I'm looking at policy, when I wasn't on the policy committee, I look to see what goal are we trying to achieve? Because with policy, we should be improving the school systems, the way it functions. And when we put in policy, it sort of sets a framework in which our administration will work within to reach a certain goal. And so as I'm looking through policy, I probably will not bring much policy to the table. I will probably have a lot of input on policy that is brought to the table. But what I'm looking for is for an expected outcome that is going to improve the system over a period of time with milestone engagements with the administration to ensure that we are following or striving or moving in the direction of the ultimate goal. And so as my vision and focus as with my experience as a leader is policy is the framework that we're going to use in order to improve the systems in which we work. So I probably will not bring many policies to the table for consideration, but I will be very engaged as we move through the creation of the policy. So I'm happy to be here. This is going to be an interesting committee for me because I don't see policy as a something that you can touch and feel like academics and budget. You have a certain number. You have in academics, you're trying to reach a certain academic success. So you have sort of some solid things to hold on to. Policy is really more broad and abstract. And so I'm looking forward to gaining this experience of policy development as I sit on this committee. So I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate that. Chairman Burrows.
Well, one
Just-
second, Ms. Mick, one
one
second.
final-
Mr. Saran Ruiz.
Thank you, Chair Burrows. So when it comes to serving on the P&G committee this year, I think I really see it, and I'm excited to really bring the student perspective when it comes to the policies that we're developing, but also as an opportunity to learn, the processes behind, bringing about public policy. And agreeing with Vice Chair Williams, I think that policy is really just the structure and the guidelines that support us as a board to move forward and to properly serve our constituents. And so when I was doing my campaign trail, whenever I would do school visits, I'd always ask the students, where are we lacking? What can we improve upon as a district so that you feel you're getting the world-class education you deserve? And two of the main things that I'd always hear would be mental health and an inclusivity in PGCPS. And I acknowledge that we definitely have already started to work on mental health. I mean, when we had 3 schools to 1 school psychologist, that was ridiculous. And I mean, I'm excited that it's now a part of the budget and that we're seeing it more in our policies, but we must continue to work. And so I'm truly excited to, bring about policy or even bring my, experience and ideas to policy others may come up with to ensure that these 2 ideals that students have expressed are actually being pulled through. So those are the 2 things I'm truly excited for this year.
That's awesome. And so I look forward to working with you. And if you ever want the policy committee to have a listening session with some students, feel free to be as creative as you want. I mean, we are here you are our guide and you have a very important voice in this process. And so whatever you come up with as far as engagement between this committee and students, I'm excited to support that. Ms. Mickens-Murray, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate this. And I understand, the framework for policies. I guess I'm a very structured person, and all I was trying to figure out is how we would start the process and then get to point A or point B. You helped me to understand that suggestions can come from any source, anybody, and I get that. You also helped me to understand that we have a list of policies that we already need to work on and update and all of that. You also reassured me that there would be collaboration between the board and the administration. So I appreciate every bit of that. And as we roll up our sleeves and start to work, I look forward to working with you, Chairman Burrows, and I look forward to working with the student, and I look forward to working with all of you on the policy committee because I'm excited about it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Board Member Mickens-Murray. Having you on this committee excites me as well, because you also come with a wealth of experience from your previous service, and I'm excited that we'll be working collaboratively together. I see we have a hand up from our board chair, Dr. Miller. Feel free, if you're able, to turn on your camera, but if not, I understand.
Thank you. You basically answered the question when Ms. Murray asked about Ms. Murray asked about it, and Vice Chair Ahmed mentioned cleaning up old policy.
Yes.
I wanted to know how you were going to prioritize with, cleaning up with bringing in new.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're actually going to get to that at item 3.2. There are some policies that we are required to amend or create as a result of state law and some other legal matters, which I'm going to get to when we get to item 3.2. And so it's so important that we do those so that we're in compliance with the law. There also are a list of policies that have been outdated that the administration has sent over and the previous committee has provided to our committee. And so it is my hope when we get to item, if it's okay, we can just go to item 3.2 now, because we're talking a lot about it. Is that okay with you, Madam Chair?
Sure.
All right. So we've completed, oh, well, let me say my piece for item. Some of the things that I care about, just so that the committee knows. I love working on policies that will have an impact on students long after they graduate. And so, when we tackle financial literacy, financial literacy is something that will impact students for the rest of their lives and their families. When we look at pipeline, the resources that we wrap around our most vulnerable students and the way that we discipline them will absolutely have an impact on them long after they're outside of Prince George's County Public Schools. When we look at the area of mental health, I'm so excited to work with Mr. Saran Ruiz on this issue because, mental health is something that will impact our students and their families long after they leave PGCPS. And so that's kind of the lens that I look at this at, is how do we, what are the levers that we can pull to support our students and their families long-term. And so I'm excited to be able to work with each of you on issues like that. And so, yes, I just wanted to also add my 2 cents in item 3.1. Now that we've completed item 3.1, let's go to item 3.2. And this is the proposed work plan for, well, actually, this is the approved work plan for this school year. And if you can just click on that, it's right on board docs for anyone in the public who is watching, is on board docs. I do have an addition that I would ask the committee to, I would ask for a motion and a second and approval on. At the request of the administration, I'm requesting a motion to amend the approved list of policies for the 2021-2022 school year to include revisions to policy 0125, non-discrimination, and the creation of a new policy regarding energy.
Mr. Burrows?
Yes.
That's an updated script a little bit before the meeting. It's actually the second policy. One moment. Just want to make sure.
Okay, hold on one second.
Administration. There's a second email that came through. The second policy is 0118, basic commitments.
Up 0118, basic commitments. Thank you, sir. And then also, Lord, now I've lost my.
Excuse me, I received 2 documents for this meeting and I don't see one that says plan. So I needed to go on board docs to find that.
Yes, all of the meeting materials will be on board docs. And so if you, actually, this is on the public board doc website, so you don't have to log in or anything. Just go to TS page, click board docs, and then the policy and governance committee. If it's easier for you, I'll ask Ms. Berkeley that in the future to maybe email board members the material in addition.
That would be most helpful. Yes. Yes, we have a lot going on. That would be helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I'll go try to find that document now.
Absolutely. And you can take off the second screen. I don't think I need that.
Is this the document you're talking about? Was that the document?
There are 3 different documents under board docs. So.
All right, I only received 2. Okay, so I need to go find the other one. Thank you.
Yes, and I'll ask the board office to, in the
I'll
future.
email it to you now.
Email it? Okay, good. Thank you.
And Mr. Cooper, is it still correct that the administration is requesting the creation of a new policy regarding energy conservation?
That's already on the work plan, so no. It was the latest email I sent you regarding the 2 policies, 0125 and 0118.
Okay. And could you give the rationale behind the need to add those 2? Or what they are, and then I'll ask for a motion and then a second, and we'll take a vote.
Usually somebody from administration can provide that context. They're the ones recommended it.
I see Ms. White has come off mute.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Burrows and Mr. Cooper. For 0118, actually for both 0118 and 0125, we are proposing additional language related to equity and inclusivity to add those in. for 0125, there also needs to be some updates to the coordinator for Title VI, the ADA, and Title IX inquiries. We need to update the contact information for that person.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. White, for jumping in. So is there a motion to add these two to the committee work plan?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Any questions? Ms. Berkeley, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Burrows,
Aye.
Mrs. Ahmed,
Aye.
Mr. Saran Ruiz,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And so now, Mr. Cooper, I would ask that you work with myself, the administration, members of the, well, if you could propose a work schedule for each of the policies. I know the administration has provided a list of policies that need to be revised based on the law. We have 80 policies in front of us. It would be helpful to have a schedule of when we would tackle each policy and place them in order to the greatest urgency, those that are required by law. I do know that there's another sensitive policy that we have that the board is familiar with already, dealing with litigation. So we'll deal with that. Do you have any questions about that, Mr. Cooper, or when do you think you could have that done by? But before that, I see Ms. Williams has her hand up.
I just want to make a suggestion that may be helpful. As you look at these, Mr. Cooper, and you're trying to evaluate when they should come, since policy is centered around how we operate, it may be beneficial to have those policies come before us as a review and approval around the time that we are having those discussions. For example, typically we discuss the E-rate management. The E-rate will come before us for approval at a certain time during the year. And I want to say it's in the spring. We may want to have that policy be discussed and reviewed and approved around that time frame. Boundaries, that is, we're doing a special boundary change. So I would just suggest that we look at the policies that come before us, sort of fit them around the time that we're actually having a discussion about those policies. Just a suggestion.
I think that's a great idea, especially with some of those more technical policies like the E-rate policy. I don't think we've reviewed that one, and I don't remember the last time. And so it might be helpful contextually to review it during that time. Does anyone have any other suggestions that you would like to give to the policy director? We're all good? Okay, Mr. Cooper, do you know when you might be able to have kind of a draft for us to look at?
Let me look at my calendar. I definitely think within the next 1 to 2 weeks, I want to collaborate with Ms. Welsh and Ms. White and the administration, Ms. Irvin, to get their feedback as well, because I know there's some legal reasons that policy need to be revised sooner than later. And so definitely between the 1 to 2 week range would be sufficient, I think.
Is that okay with the committee members? Okay, I'm seeing yeses from everybody. All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Cooper. Well, colleagues, let's move on to item 4.1, follow-ups from previous meetings. I don't think we have any because this is our first time meeting, unless there was anything left over from last year. Chairwoman Ahmed, I see Ms. Berkeley saying no. All right.
Not from my perspective, other than we did have some outstanding policies that we had begun discussing or that were somewhere in the process, but that's something that Mr. Cooper and administration can address at a later time.
Okay, And so, Mr. Cooper and administration, please coordinate with Ms. Ahmed to figure out where those policies are in that pipeline and include them into your work plan.
I'll look at my calendar. I think I have a meeting with Ms. Welsh and Ms. White next week on the calendar already. And so definitely we'll be talking about this and all this during that meeting.
Thank you very much, sir. So I think our next steps are clear. And is there anything anyone on the body would like to say before we adjourn? I know this is a short meeting. I think once we have that work plan with all of the policies, our meetings will be a lot lengthier. So let's just enjoy this while it is, this brief. I see Ms. Mickens Murray has come off mute.
Yes, I was just gonna say, I thought the meeting was short because you're so efficient and the group was so well prepared, and I appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to future meetings, but they don't go like more than a couple hours, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll keep it down to a couple hours. See, look, it is my hope that this committee, we're going to work out everything.
Okay.
We're going to work out everything ahead of time. We're going to come to be a smooth oil machine. So
You're right. That's the plan. That's the goal. All right.
Okay.
I like that.
I see Mr. Howard Burnett has raised his hand.
Yeah, I just want to, speak on behalf of the administration, Mr. Burrows, and really your first meeting has modeled the other meetings that I had with this committee. I was going to tell you the challenge that you had in following Chair Ahmed and Chair Boozer Struthers. So definitely you have upheld so far that smooth, meeting, that they've held and accomplished a lot. I joined them. I started joining them around January, February, and the amount that the group, and I know you participated often, the amount that the group accomplished on behalf of the students and schools and communities for Prince George's County was quite commendable. And the relationship and collaborative approach that this committee had with administration, was certainly a model for all committees and for any school system. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Burnett, for always being just a wealth of knowledge, always here to help and guide and support. And so I appreciate you taking time to be in this meeting. I see Ms. White here. Thank you for being here. Ms. Welsh, good to see you. And also Valerie Irvin, thank you, who is such a important policy expert to have join our committee. So thank you. And please let Dr. Goldston know this committee looks forward to working with her and the administration hand in hand to pass policies that will help and benefit the school system and our students and staff. All right. Well, colleagues, we're at item 5.1. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Is there okay. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Have a great night. And like I said, I'll be reaching out to each of you to meet individually. Let's collaborate as a team. So please meet with each other so that we remain a well-oiled, excited machine.
Thank you.
Mr. Ron Ruiz dancing.
Good
All
night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.